isn't the Hunchback of Notre Dame himself. How's it gonna sound tonight?
Great. Huh? Better than it has in days.
Well, what was life like on the road then, you know, on that tour?
Hectic, hard, sleepless, driving, crazy.
Are you talking to me? Come up here and say that. Hey, it was the worst thing I ever want to go through, man. Can't even hear the guitar to put it in tune. There's something wrong with the sound system, and it's got to be fixed.
It never occurred to me to question it. I was just doing it. They asked me to do it, and I did it.
They're feeding,
on
so
the
they
other
can follow
side.
it.
On the other side.
Well, show them what they're...
You want me to show you where I'm plugged in? I'll show you where I'm plugged in over here. You want to see it?
I was always about the music. I was never about the mechanics of being a sound man. So if the music was good, I was happy.
He looks so truthful. This is how he feels as he tries to peel the moon and expose it. I can't. It's not the same, you know. I can't hear it coming back. I don't know what it is, man.
1, 2. 1, 2.
Better than what it was a second ago.
I didn't change anything. I just walked up here and talked.
I bet something's wrong with the wires.
I lived in a fifth-floor walk-up on Bleecker Street, right across the street from where the village gate was. And I just hung out in the village. And I met Bob for the first time when he was just playing folk music and hanging out. My friend introduced me to the new owners of the Gaslight. They had me put in the sound system, and then somebody said, well, Dylan's going to premiere a bunch of songs in after hours, and you should come and tape it. The atmosphere was so wonderful in the Gaslight, and it had a special quality that studio recordings could never have.
Oh, where have you been, my blue-eyed son? Where have you been, my darling young one?
It was just overwhelming. I mean, I had seen all kinds of people perform, and nobody gave me chills like that. Nothing even came close to it.
Tito, listen, we seem to have a problem.
I'd done a lot of live sound work for Grossman. When it came time for Dylan to go on tour, Grossman asked me to build the sound system, and I said yes.
Oh, I need an electrician. My power's all gone.
It's Richard's power, man. Come on.
I fit perfectly into that situation because I was really a kind of hi-fi purist as far as sound is concerned.
Richard's power. Give him his power back.
Let's have power!
I had no rehearsals with Dylan because I was busy getting the gear together and setting it up.
Hey, Dick.
I built the sound system. I had to make up the cables, and I had to connect everything, and I had to put it into the road cases and get it on the plane. It was shipped to Honolulu. The first time I used the whole sound system was on the stage in Honolulu. And I was still soldering wires on the stage in Stockholm. I remember that very well.
Okay, just give me time to get across the other.
Okay.
I mean, I barely had time to get everything set up at every venue we were at. I knew that he'd been performing electric, but I had no idea that the second half was going to be what it turned out to be.
Orchard.
Everybody knew that they came to see the Bob Dylan that they were expecting. Rock and roll was something that no one expected. There was a lot of booing. I mean, it was practically everywhere we went. The audiences were hostile. And the band responded to the hostility of the audience by playing more aggressively.
You walk into the room with a pencil in your hand, see somebody naked, say, who is that man?
The audience reaction, it was mystifying to everybody. It was mystifying to me. I can remember, like, why doesn't everybody think this stuff is as great as I do? The tapings began when we were in Europe because Bob wanted to make a movie.
I stand by her roar and the lonely water. I stood there many times before this, you see.
He wanted to make kind of a nouveau vague movie of the whole process. Nobody ever thought that those tapes would ever be issued in the way they're being issued.
All the stuff that came from Paris is still being cleared through customs.
There's nothing there? I can't believe it.
It's a 7:30 show.
And nothing is there now.
That's right. Just the stuff that was left here. 2 speakers and the organ, and that's all set up, and the stage is all set up, but there's nothing else there.
The gear was just the gear that I was used to using. It was good microphones. They were all individually mic'd. There was 1 microphone for everybody, maybe 2 microphones for Bob.
Mine too?
There wasn't any theory. There wasn't any map to follow about how you mic an electric band. It was just the way the music sounded on stage. There was all one mix. So I had to compromise. I mean, most of the concern was about the music and about the performances, and the recordings were just whatever went out into the hall. We all listened to the tapes afterwards. I made some changes, and it definitely got better. He was singing wonderfully and performing wonderfully, and the songs were very exciting, and I was wrapped up in that. I don't know, you put good microphones up in front of good music and it sounds good.
Yes, but the joke was on me. There was nobody even there to call my bluff. I'm going back to New York City. I do believe I've had enough.
I mean, obviously the musicians played their asses off. It wasn't even like the studio recordings or like the performance at Newport, because Mickey Jones was a much louder drummer and much more aggressive drummer than anybody else that had played with him before, and it drove the music harder. It made Robbie play some of the greatest stuff he ever played in his life. The Paris show was problematic for any number of reasons.
You see, my electric guitar never goes out of tune.
Bob took forever tuning his guitar, I think just to irritate everybody. He took like 20 minutes to tune his guitar. The audience was hostile from the get-go.
Oh, I love you, huh? You're so wonderful, huh?
They had an attitude about America already, that we were a bunch of fascist warmongers. They opened the second half with the biggest American flag that Bob could find in Paris. And the audience didn't get the joke at all.
Tell me, mama, tell me, mama, tell me, mama, what is it? What's wrong with you this time?
It was kind of dismissed. The recordings weren't very important. It broke my heart. And Columbia just mishandled it because they wanted to use their tapes and they had sent expensive crews over. And the fact that Bob wanted to use my recording was not compatible with their desires. I think Roseman told me to take the tapes to Columbia and turn them over. And that was it. I never saw him again. I wanted the tapes to sound good. I don't know why, because I didn't know till now that they would ever become anything. And I'm glad that it's getting appreciated after all this time.
Just Louise and her lover so entwined, and these visions of Johanna that conquer my mind.